garlic, kiwi, and even honey. But hang on a minute, this is getting a bit ridiculous now. All of these foods that we've just listed, and whatever honey is, if you can call that food or not, have all been dubbed in one article or another, or even by certain brands too. They've all been dubbed as superfoods. But what is a superfood? Who gets to call something a superfood? Can I say that something's a superfood for my own reasons? Why are certain companies allowed to, or all of companies really, allowed to use this word if they deem it proper to try and help with their marketing? And is a superfood even real in the medical community? Let's look into this. Many people say that the first ever superfood, or the first use of the word, even many have said, actually dates back to 1918, and the Professor Samuel C. Prescott again was credited as the first person to ever describe a superfood. And that is true in a way, because with Samuel C. Prescott and the United Fruit Company in America, from 1918, they started to release a lot of documents about the banana and the nutritional benefits of a banana, and the fact that, of course, by having a skin, it's quite protected from pests, and it can be transported from mainly Colombia, I believe it was, with little issues regarding damage to the fruit or rotting or anything like that at all. So in a way, yes, the banana was the first superfood from description, but he never actually used the word, and none of the United Fruit documents either did also use the word superfood. To actually get the first ever use of the word superfood purportedly, you have to go back slightly further to 1915. And that would have been in a Jamaican newspaper. There was a poet called Dali Glinner, I want to say, who used the word superfood in a poem where he said that one man's composure changed and he declared a glass of wine to be a superfood. Now, of course, in this poem there's been a few different ways this has been interpreted, with a superfood not being about health-giving properties. That wasn't what this man who likes wine was talking about. It was a superfood in the sense that, as well as having some nutrition, it had additional benefits or additional changes, which of course for wine would be getting drunk. So that was, again, assumingly the first use of the word superfood. I did try to find that article, but I actually couldn't find that. I could only find references of an article, which again I couldn't find. So it's a little bit shaky as to whether that was the first use of the word superfood. The next assumed time that the word superfood was used would then have been in 1949 in a newspaper called the Lethbridge Herald, which was in Canada, and this was about a muffin which was said to provide all of the vitamins needed and extra vitamins and nourishment that hadn't even been discovered yet. And again, that's something that I've been able to find online as being referred to, but I've not been able to find the article itself, so it's still a little wishy-washy as to whether that is the first true use of the term or not. So even with trying to find where the word comes from, it's very shrouded in mystery, because again, we found potentially three, if you were to look on this online, if you were to research, there's three ways that have been cited as being where this term comes from. So again, in the 1940s, to describe a muffin, some people have falsely said that the banana was said to be a superfood, rather than being described to in the sense we would say what a superfood is these days, with nutritional benefits and touting them as better than any other everyday food. And then, of course, there's the article that supposedly was the first use of the word in 1915, but again, I wasn't able to find that online there. So there's three potential ways how this could have all started, but we're not exactly sure. But one thing that is for certain is in 1990, a author called Michael Van Straten may have been at least an early example of this trend, if he wasn't the first person to say superfood, with the release of his cookbook, Superfood. He's also since went on to produce a lot of other books there about health foods, including Super Juice and even Super Duper Juice. So yeah, perhaps it was Van Straten there that could have been at least one of the first people to say superfoods, and really since then in the 90s it has just surged in popularity there. So since then, hundreds of authors, including celebrity chefs, have joined in the trend of including superfood in their cookbook names, as well as appearing in the news and on health sites online too. So since then, of course, hundreds more fruits and vegetables have been dubbed superfoods, such as the three that we went over earlier. Kiwis, that's a big one there that's coming up recently, at least in my own search algorithms. Blueberries, I think they were quite early on with being described as a superfood because of their polyphenol content, I believe, there, or their pigmentation chemicals, as well as your standard vitamins that would come from any fruit or veg that we should be eating as many as possible of. So yeah, these are all early examples there, but even before we said superfood, one thing is for certain is that in even ancient medicines and alternative medicines, there have been different foods that have been given or said to have medicinal properties there. So garlic, for example, was used in ancient Rome to help treat infections, joint problems, and even seizures. It's said to say that this was used for in ancient Rome. So yeah, there's a lot that you can do apparently with a clove of garlic there, and of course in Chinese medicines there's been tons of different fruits and vegetables that have been touted as having medicinal properties. Elsewhere in Asia, you've got ginseng, which isn't really a food, so I don't think that would be a superfood, but definitely comes under the term of a dietary supplement, as well as I believe the kiwi was originally called a Chinese gooseberry or something like that there. And yeah, the kiwi has its own origins of being a superfood apparently in ancient medicine too. So wherever the word really comes from, it does seem to be just the latest term that we've been using for medicinal foods, if they are in fact medicinal, from millennia ago. So at this stage in the video, we have tried to cover superfoods as best as we can, really, considering just how ambiguous the term can be, really. Again, it does seem like at this stage, really, any food or any ingredient can be called a superfood if you're able to think of a few things to back it up, really. You're able to get a study here or there to back it up, again, compared to any other everyday food. It sounds like anything can be described as a superfood. So yeah, we've certainly covered that there, and it still doesn't make complete sense, really, why we even have to talk about it, really, why these things are coming up. But of course, one thing that is worrying is just how many things can be attributed to a superfood for any reason at all, really. So again, we were talking about garlic in the ancient Roman times, of course. We're a long way since there, but there's still a lot of foods such as apples that are being cited as being particularly helpful with weight loss for one ingredient or one chemical for another. They're like polyphenols, for example, or antioxidants or anything like that at all. So there's a lot of claims that are being made for superfoods, and there isn't necessarily a great deal to really back them up, which is quite worrying. And the thing is too, that superfoods are big business. It's been reported that 72% of consumers say that they would buy foods if it's being labelled as containing a superfood as an ingredient. And also the global superfoods market in 2023 was valued at $198.8 billion. This is estimated to grow even further by 2034, so in 10 years by now, this is estimated to grow past $330 billion as people try to, for good reason of course, try to lead healthier lifestyles. In the UK and the EU, it is quite restricted as to what can be called or labelled as a superfood. In 2007, the marketing of products as superfoods was prohibited in the European Union unless accompanied by a specific authorised health claim supported by credible scientific research. So in my country, in the UK, which does not necessarily emulate but does receive a lot of commercial benefit from the European Union's legislation despite leaving back in 2018, that would have been roughly, give or take a few years as it was all being sorted out. So yeah, we're not in the EU, but we still benefit from some legislation still. And in my country, we don't really hear a lot about superfoods. It's not something that we see packaged on our products, but it is something that does come up a lot in our news articles there, as we were talking about, and again, cookbook stuff like that. So we see the word from time to time, but it's not something we see in our supermarkets. In America, the FDA does have a different approach, and when trying to research this, it comes up really with the approaches for treating dietary supplements compared to conventional medicine. Now, with some superfoods there, they can be taken in capsule form. So again, coming back to garlic, you can get garlic pills, for example, where again, that would be a dietary supplement there. So we're still talking about the same thing as a dietary supplement, but of course using a different word, or maybe an unorthodox description as you might be intending there if you're thinking about apples or oranges. And to ensure in America products are safe, they must meet the USA's food standards and not be misbranded or altered. So there's still some protection, of course, to make sure a superfood doesn't hurt anyone. It does mean, though, that technically, again, any food product or supplement can be called a superfood if the company could believe that this can help to boost sales. And even chocolate has gotten the superfood treatment there, especially dark chocolate. So again, that might be something that you're seeing on news sites or on YouTube videos, for example. It is something that is making the rounds too. And it's not just, as we said, limited to product sales there. Superfoods are big businesses for news sites, for blogs, for cookbooks. When you call something a superfood, or when you've got a cookbook saying that you're going to be using superfood ingredients, that is going to be pulling people to you. People are going to be interested and want to see news articles where we're talking about superfoods there and whether we should be eating them. So superfood, whilst being very ambiguous, if you actually try to look into it and even try and find the introduction, the invention of the word, it's a very ambiguous term. But the thing is, it's attention grabbing as well. And when people see on the news, for example, about superfoods, about blueberries or something like that there, it can be quite interesting and you want to know more. People want to live healthier and longer lives for good reason, so people are investing in their health a lot more. So of course, with people wanting to invest in their lives a lot more, when you see these news articles about, just adding one ingredient to your diet to be able to fix a manner of different ailments and prevent even many more there, when these news articles are made, or even YouTube videos or anything like that at all, tons of people do decide to read or watch these videos there and articles, and it creates huge amounts of money for these health blogs that, quite frankly, probably wouldn't exist if it wasn't for the word superfood sometimes there. So of course, we've got this ambiguous term which anyone can use for any reason there about any product or ingredient depending on your country, and it seems just like it's a marketing term in a way. So what is going on? Is there really anything about any of these certain fruits or vegetables that's so special, or any other products that's so special compared to just having a normal lifestyle, just having a varied diet and a good amount of exercise? Is there anything really that they are saying there that is different to this general advice that you would get from a doctor? And in my own research, with trying to investigate whether superfoods are real or not, unfortunately it has been a resounding no. And that not only is that there's no such thing as a superfood in terms of actual physical fruits, vegetables or any other ingredients, but the term superfood is just a marketing term to try and sell things back, sadly. I did find a really good article from a senior dietitian called Victoria Taylor. So this is an article from the British Heart Foundation there, which is definitely worth a read if you are able to, just about this. Where of course, as I've been saying, anything can be described really as a superfood. However, something that it does say quite nicely at the end, which I thought would be quite good to end on, is it can be fun to try new foods, and some foods that are badged as superfoods are nutritious. But first think about whether it's worth the money, as you can probably get the nutrients from a more everyday source too. So one example that I have of this is I saw for some reason in my new YouTube video suggestions a few videos about kiwis being the ultimate food source. So I watched those videos and I was like, okay then, maybe with the fibre and the vitamins and what have you, there could well be some benefit. And there's some stuff that was said too about how they're amazing for helping you get to sleep regularly too. But I was like, you know what, it's been a while since I've had a kiwi, so I'll try having some kiwis and maybe see if I can fit them into my diet here and there. And you know what, that was the first time I had a kiwi in, I was such a little kid, I must have been like 10 or something like that the last time I had a kiwi. I'm 22 now, so yeah, the first time in 12 years I had a kiwi, and you know what, I'm going to go back to the store for more of them because they are a delicious fruit vegetable, and well, fruit for a kiwi, and I'm not gonna do it because they've been touted as a superfood, but I'm gonna do it because they taste nice and it's having a varied diet, which does really matter there. So you're getting your micronutrients, of course your vitamins, you're getting your macros like your carbs, and your proteins, what have you. And yeah, if you can have a bit of fun in between, you know, with some variety, then that's excellent too. When I was growing up, when healthy eating was described, we weren't really talking about whether processed food was bad at that stage, whilst of course you had junk food as a description, so you knew it wasn't good for you to a certain extent. We didn't talk about superfoods. We talked about eating the rainbow and having that nice varied diet, which of course would give you your antioxidants, your polyflavonols, your polyphenols, your thises and thates, on top of your vitamins and your macros and stuff. And that was described as healthy eating the rainbow. And I think really we should put down the superfood idea and all of the mumbo jumbo pseudoscience and just get back to basics, I think. If you've made it to this part of my video, I just wanted to say a thank you for watching this video. This is, I have said in a post recently, this is actually the most ambitious project that I have made yet. For the first time, instead of just doing a couple of clips in one day and winging it, this is the first time that I've really tried to script a video over about a week. I've been trying to write this together and research it and plan out what I'm going to do. And I've been also doing some video clips for this over about 3 or 4 days. So yeah, it's certainly not big compared to a lot of YouTubers. But as someone that's very early on, this has been really ambitious for me to put together, and I'm about to start editing it, which is probably going to take a few hours and such. So yeah, thank you for watching this video. I hope that you have enjoyed it and you have learnt something new from this. If you have, please do like, subscribe, and maybe share this to any platforms too there for any friends or family who you feel could benefit from this video too. And please do leave a comment maybe about anything in particular that I could work on to help improve these videos. I want to keep on making these. It's something that I've been enjoying a lot in the past few weeks that I've been getting back into it. And yeah, hopefully you can enjoy the rest of my content that I start making. So yeah, again, thank you for your time and I hope you have a nice day. Goodbye now.